My name is Marc Urselli. I'm an audio engineer and music producer. I grew up in Europe, between Italy and Switzerland. I opened my first recording studio in Italy when I was 17. And then I moved to New York looking to broaden my horizons. I was in my 20s. I started as an intern in this very studio, which is East Side Sound, one of the longest running studios in New York City. And I worked my way up. I'm the chief audio engineer. I do most of the sessions, but I'm also a freelancer, so I work all around the world. I was in Budapest and London last week. I'm going to Iceland in a couple weeks to do recordings. So my life is pretty much a mixture of recording here, recording somewhere else, or doing live sound all around the world. One of my earliest experiences where I thought I was on the right path and I really was inspired by somebody on the other side of the glass was here in New York when I was an intern / assistant. And like all the famous stories, the engineer called and said he was sick and I had to replace him and step in. The artist that was coming in that day was Luther Vandross. I set up 5 microphones because it was Luther plus 4 background singers, all incredible singers, like Paulette McWilliams, Nikki Richards, Lisa Fischer, so many incredible singers. I was very excited about the session, also a little bit scared. He asked me to remove 4 of the 5 microphones, and he was going to sing, have all 5 singers around one mic. And in my naive green way, I thought, how's that going to work? I mean, you need 5 mics for 5 singers. I was very green, I was very young. But there was a lesson in there for me and a great experience and display of musicianship. He basically learned the song on the spot, and then he had these 4 singers around the one mic with himself, and he put his arms around the 4 singers and then pushed and pulled them back to achieve the right blend of harmonies on the one mic of the chord he had just 10 minutes prior written down on a pad after never having heard this song. After a couple of takes, he walked away, and it was like the most beautiful vocal arrangement I'd ever heard. And that was a moment in time where I knew I was doing the right thing and I was going to do this forever. I think later in life, my next formative experience was working on the Les Paul record. This was now in 2005, so I was already an engineer here at East Side Sound, and Les Paul was about to celebrate his 90th birthday, and Capitol Records funded a beautiful record called American Made World Played, which ended up winning 2 Grammys, in which Les was playing duets with people like Sting, Joss Stone, Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, Buddy Guy, Jeff Beck, like an incredible pool of musicians that I got to record for the most part and mix in its entirety here at East Side Sound. And it was an incredible experience. It took a long time. It was like 5 months. It's not the longest that I've ever worked on a record, but it was the first time I worked with a major record label budget in that type of extended period of time. And it was, an incredible experience working with those artists, some of them people that I had listened to when I was a kid. And now I was like soloing an Eric Clapton track and deciding which bits of his solo worked with the vocals and what not, and feeling bad about the bits that got muted, forever to be lost, So it was a very humbling and exciting experience. One of the records that I'm most proud of is absolutely this Angel Head Hipster, the songs of Marc Bolan and T-Rex, which is a record that pays tribute to the discography and the genius of obviously Marc Bolan and T-Rex. And it's a record that took 4 years to make, came out last September, and it was produced by the late Hal Wilner, who sadly passed away of COVID. It was another one of those milestones in my career for myself. I feel like it's going to be the one record I'm going to be probably the most proud of for a long time. Also because of the feelings associated with, having Hal pass away after having worked so closely with him for 4 years on that record, but I worked with Hal for 10 years. Hal and I flew around the entire world recording this album. As I mentioned, it took 4 years. We recorded it mostly in Los Angeles and New York, but we did sessions in Germany, Paris, New Orleans, a bunch of other cities. And then we took it all to New York and we mixed it together here. And between the schedules of artists like U2 and Elton John wanting to do a duet, Nick Cave, catching some of these artists when they're on tour on a day off, which is what happened with U2, or catching them when they're on vacation, which is what happened with Elton John. It was just like it made it so it took a long time, but it was really worth it. And it's a fantastic record. Aside from me being proud of it, I think everyone should hear it and hear those renditions of these T-Rex songs. The question I always get is from, new up-and-coming aspiring engineers or from the interns that are here at Eastside Sound is, what advice do you have for me? And I'm always tempted to say, get out of the music business and get into law or something, or finance or something like that. Based on that, which is partly a joke, but partly true, my number one advice is make sure this is really what you want, and make sure that passion for music and interest, desire to be making music are greater than the desire to be making money, because they're not going to go hand in hand. That's just a fact. I mean, we all of us in the music industry struggle to different degrees to make a living, and some of us, more than others, choose to make sacrifices. You have to basically, what I'm trying to say is, have your priorities straight. If your number one priority is to make records, you're gonna find a way to do it. But you're gonna have to sacrifice some things. Maybe your social life, maybe your family life. I'm not saying you can't do it with a social life, with a family life, but any time you take some time away from one thing to put it into another thing, that's what's happening. If you're putting time into your family or into your friends, you're taking that time away from making a record. So be sure of what you want. It's not an easy life. It's a life of long hours, a lot of sacrifices. It has great rewards in it for you, but it takes a long time until you reap those rewards, until you get there. You have to really be dedicated, really want it, and work at it very hard. And after that, which might sound like a given to some, but is not, I will say the next most important thing is go out there and talk to the people that are or will be your clients, because you're gonna learn from them. You're gonna learn what they want, you're gonna learn what they need, and if you know what they want and what they need, you're gonna be able to fill those needs, hopefully. And be sure you love what you're doing, because if you don't love what you're doing, this is not a job you wanna be doing. It's so many long hours and sacrifices that it'd be stupid to put it all in there for something you don't truly love. I love music, more than just saying I love listening to music. I work for 10 or 12 hours here, and after that I go straight to 1 or 2 concerts, and that's my life every single day. And I'm not going to the concert because I feel like I have to network or I feel like I have to show face. I'm going to the concert because I love music. And to me, seeing 2 concerts after having worked here for 10 or 12 hours does not feel like a sacrifice. It feels like a natural evolution of the day. It feels like a natural reward for the day. I've worked 10 hours, now I'm gonna go play 10 hours, or 2 hours, or 4 hours. So I have no problem with having my life filled with music for 18 or 20 hours every day. And if you feel like you can do that and you want to do that, then that's probably the right thing for you to do.